Hello, this is NSS Hedgehog, and this is my co-host for today, Francis the Mudkip.
Mudkip Mud!
Today we're continuing with the Ultimate Spider-Man pilot by looking at Episode 2 of the series. Episode 2 is titled Great Responsibility, to go along with Episode 1's title of Great Power. This starts off with Spidey being tested against training robots to see how he handles superior numbers. The web-slinger quickly gets into a jam and thinks how embarrassing it'd be if he died, leading into this joke.
I really thought he'd make it.
As Spidey does a pathetic job defeating the robots, Fury watches with delight, which is kinda creepy that he's enjoying it, while the soon-to-be teammates of the main character comment on how terrible and sloppy he is.
Mudkip?
That's right, Spidey's now part of a team. While I should probably wait until the characters introduce themselves to Spidey before I go over them, I'll discuss them now since they're being shown to the audience. Also, keep in mind the versions of these characters in this show are all teenagers, which is not how they are typically portrayed. First, we have Iron Fist, a martial arts master who can channel his chi energy to power up his attacks. While he is still level-headed and good-hearted like he is in the comics, this version enjoys saying words of wisdom almost every time he talks. He's supposed to be a teenager, yet he spouts out more sagely advice than Buddha, which makes him quite annoying. Ergo, this Iron Fist is an irksome interpretation of the character. Next we have Luke Cage, aka Power Man, a fellow with super strength and skin as hard as steel. They made many changes to the character, and while I don't mind them, I would assume others do. First off, Luke Cage his actual given name instead of being an alias he goes by, having him use his old school identity of Power Man. Also, they replaced all his street smarts with book smarts, and got rid of his usual attitude in favor of a friendlier personality. Again, I don't hate these changes, but I can imagine more hardcore fans getting very PO'd. Third up is Nova, who can fly and shoot energy of some sort. Yeah, I'm pretty unfamiliar with the character. However, in this series, he's portrayed as very annoying and obnoxious, leaving much to be desired. He tries to be funny and act cool, but it never works. Because of these traits, he frequently butts heads with Spidey, giving them a rocky friendship and giving the viewers a headache. Finally, we have White Tiger, a character I never heard of before this series. Her powers include cat-like reflexes and razor-sharp claws, like every other cat-themed character. In the comics, this hero is male, so they made this version his daughter or something to add some estrogen to the team. Personality-wise, she's kind of a goody two-shoes, always being the last one to disobey orders and the first one to do her homework. Though to be fair, she's otherwise pretty rough around the edges. Plus, she's got some really nice,
Mudkip?
Hey, you're an amphibian. You know nothing about mammalian attractions. Now that that's out of the way, when the wall crawler finally manages to best the training robots, Fury tests his ability to not die from falling. Pass. After checking up on Harry, who's in the hospital, this happens.
Smile, Spider-Man.
Whoa, I'm not. How did...
Wow, nervous much?
MJ tells Peter that she wants to interview Spider-Man, which Peter tells the audience that he thinks MJ would figure out he's Spidey if he let her interview him. Later, the webhead is back on the helicarrier with Fury, who leads him into a lab where S.H.I.E.L.D. has been developing Spidey tech. Fury next introduces the web-slinger to Dr. Kurt Connors. Spidey extends his hand for a handshake, and then feels really awkward when it appears Connors doesn't have a right arm. However, this time, Connors actually has his right arm intact, and the writers were merely alluding to the fact he normally doesn't have one. Oh, that's cute, Marvel. Just as cute as if I were to go up to your headquarters and do this. Guess how many fingers I'm holding up. Connors asks why Spidey doesn't have his new web shooter in camo mode, giving the hero an excuse to make this joke.
Oh, yeah, I had it in camo mode, but then I couldn't find it.
Hey, I thought it was funny. Unfortunately. Connors is about to show the wall crawler another cool invention when Phil Coulson interrupts and objects to Spidey joining S.H.I.E.L.D. And yes, Clark Gregg, the actor who portrays the character in Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Thor, The Avengers, and the hit TV series Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., voices the character in the show. Fury tells Coulson not to worry, and Spidey is finally able to see Connor's invention. A motorcycle.
Upon which he can play card games! Card games on motorcycles?
The web slinger sees no point in using the vehicle when he can just sling webs. Dr. Connors actually provides a valid argument as to why the Spidey should use the motorcycle, and Fury coaxes him into a test drive by questioning his courage. Unfortunately, having no prior experience, the webhead begins driving out of control. He fails to brake so badly he drives out of the helicarrier and begins speeding through New York. During this test drive gone wrong, the motorcycle, dubbed the Spider Cycle, is shown to be able to shoot webbing, drive on walls, and give Jameson a better mustache. About a minute after the sequence gets old and the audience is subjected to a terrible Ferris Bueller's Day Off reference, the wall crawler is finally saved by his soon-to-be teammates. They introduce themselves, Nova is given the nickname of Buckethead, and Spidey is displeased to find out they're his new teammates.
And he's not the only one who's displeased.
Having returned to the helicarrier again, Spidey says no as many ways as he can,
No, nix, nine, nyet, nuh-uh, no way.
and then storms off. When he tries to use the elevator, Fury is waiting for him, allowing for an elevator scene as awkward as the one in Spider-Man 2.
So, you're leaving.
Yep, time to mosey on down the trail.
Upon Spidey exiting the elevator, Fury then gives his grand speech as to why the Erected-themed hero should stay, but Spidey still declines the offer. Back in the Big Apple, the viewers witness the web-slinger's obnoxious Shoulder Angel and Shoulder Devil.
The Shoulder Angel and the Shoulder Devil are a plot device seen often in cartoons, representing conscience and temptation respectively. While this device is used for comedic purposes in this series, it's a terrible idea because Spidey's a hero and should not give in to temptation for the butt of a joke. A hero giving in to temptation should be a serious matter, and this joke would be better suited for an anti-hero such as Deadpool or Wario.
Gang! Gengar, Gengar, gang!
Clefable! Clefable, fable! How exactly do you have a shoulder Clefable and a shoulder Gengar when you don't have shoulders?
Mudkip.
The webhead is next ambushed by the Frightful Three, who, I forgot to mention last time, were hired by Octavius. Having caught Spidey unawares, the trio managed to get the better of him, allowing his rejected teammates to save his arachnid hide.
You know, in other cartoons, Spidey could beat 6 foes single-handedly just by using his wiles and strategically using his enemies' abilities against each other.
During a fight that's not quite as long as the one in the first episode, Spidey actually works fairly well with his fellow heroes, giving them pointers and instructions while the 5 of them do some good heroic work. The Wallcrawler later agrees to work with him, provided Fury allows him some me time.
Done.
Awkward.
Back in Midtown High, Peter Parker thinks things are settling down and that he can rest easy, until Flash Thompson shows up to shove him into his locker again. Fortunately, Peter is pulled out of the way, turning the tables on Flash. When Pete questions who his savior is, 4 teens introduce themselves to him.
Danny Rand.
Luke Cage.
Sam Alexander.
Ava Ayala.
After taking about 5 seconds longer to figure out who they are than he should have needed, Peter rushes to the principal's office to request a transfer. Phil Coulson, who is now the principal of Midtown High, denies this request, and Peter storms off, objecting to the whole situation, only to change his mind when he realizes Flash is still stuck in his locker.
Thus ends Episode 2. While it still sets up the status quo of the series pretty well like Episode 1, it has the same problem of this status quo being unfavorable for a Spidey cartoon. There are also plenty of cheesy moments, only some of which involve breaking the fourth wall. Despite these flaws, I give this episode another 2.5 out of 5. Again, I'm lenient because it's still part of the pilot, but also because a few of the jokes in the episode are actually pretty funny. And any episode of this series that has more than one funny joke isn't too bad. Of course, not too bad doesn't necessarily mean good, but this is still among the better episodes the series has, unfortunately. Thanks for watching, please stay tuned for more.
Mudkip.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out, here comes the Spider-Man. Is he strong? Listen, bud. He's got radioactive blood. Can he swing from a thread? Take a look overhead. Hey there.